Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment as we have some more NFL draft rumors surrounding the Tennessee Titans. This latest one, I believe, came from Daniel Jeremiah, who reported that he is hearing that the Tennessee Titans are exploring potentially trading up to the number 3 overall pick. Trading with the Arizona Cardinals, presumably to take a quarterback and presumably to take Anthony Richardson. Now, I love whenever these sort of topics come about when they've been particularly obvious to me, and if you follow this channel or if you're an Intelligent Titans fan, to you for a while. I mean, literally after the Panthers traded up, I said, if for some reason the Panthers are trading up for Richardson, or if the Texans take Richardson or Levis, then you need to get on the phone and you need to potentially move up to number 3. So this is not a shocking rumor to me at all. It's something that I'd still want to happen. Hell, I was the one that I'm pretty sure back in December, when we were in the middle of our losing streak, I don't even think the season was over. I think at that point we were 7-9 or maybe even 7-8. But as far as I was concerned, the season was over. But for some reason, people still had hope and confidence and faith for reasons of which I don't really know, but good for them. I made the first video that I know of saying that the Titans should trade it for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, because I felt that they were going to lose out, and I felt that after they lost out, they'd be picking 10th or 11th, and while it might be expensive, considering the state of this franchise, considering the state of the quarterback position, considering the state of all these things, they're just better off trading up and securing one of these franchise quarterbacks while they can. And on this channel, we've been discussing this. Oh, should we take next? We've been discussing this. But, you know, when there's actually a substantiated or at least somewhat substantiated rumor, I guess we'll discuss it a little bit more and just make some more content. And I really want to discuss this, more specifically as it pertains to Anthony Richardson himself. My thoughts on if we did this for Anthony Richardson, because that's not something I really have thought or considered that we'd be stupid enough to do, but now you never know. Now, I actually saw one trade scenario on this that made me raise an eyebrow, but it still wouldn't make much sense. And the trade scenario involved the Titans only giving up their first round pick this year and their first round pick next year, a second round pick this year, and then receiving not only the number 3 pick, but also receiving DeAndre Hopkins. Now, we've discussed DeAndre Hopkins on this very channel. I don't want him. I think he's old, he's at least going to be very old very soon. Again, this year there was no wide receiver over the age of 33 that was active at all. He's going to be 31. He has 1 or 2 good years left. That's it. Not interested. I'm good, especially because he was never a speedster anyway. I'm good. However, getting Hopkins and the number 3 overall pick, now I don't think it's going to win you a Super Bowl, so it's still kind of pointless, because I don't even care if you get Stroud or Young, right? If they happen to, be passed on, they're not going to win a Super Bowl in their first 2 seasons. I mean, even with Derrick Henry, and if you even get a very productive DeAndre Hopkins, they're just too young. They're not going to win the Super Bowl in their first couple seasons. I know Joe Burrow made the Super Bowl. Was that his second or third? I guess actually it was the second, but it's not going to happen. So let's relax on that. That's a little dramatic. However, it would be interesting. A little Stroud, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins' little trio with Traylon Burks continuing to develop, Chigokanko continuing to develop. It'd be interesting. It would be, to me, potentially a playoff team this year, depending on how well that rookie would play. With Richardson, though, it still doesn't make sense, because point blank, period, outside of just running well, and he'll do that, I believe, and even that I'm not, totally convinced, but, for the most part, he will. Even in that scenario, I mean, he's still a project. I mean, if you're taking Richardson, you have to take him and intend on not paying him for at least. I mean, I know these franchise quarterbacks end up starting, quicker than you'd like all the time, literally all the time. But I mean, seriously, with Richardson, he has to sit at least half the rookie season. I mean, if you're not sitting him for half the rookie season, what are you doing? You cannot throw him out there. He needs time. I mean, he needs time. So even in that scenario, it just doesn't make sense. Now, Anthony Richardson is my quarterback 3. Bryce Young is my quarterback 1, barely, over CJ Stroud. I'd love to have either. I love it. I love nothing more in my life right now. And I'm not lying. Maybe that and some more money. Who doesn't want more money? But yeah, the thing with Richardson, and this is even going to be a discussion if he falls to 11, which I don't believe is going to be the case. I think with all that he has done in terms of, this offseason, in terms of this pre-draft process, in terms of, what he's done in his pro day and the combine, I just don't see any way he falls to 11. Someone's going to fall in love with him. Someone's going to take him. But there's a chance he's there at 11. If he's there at 11, I'm open to it. And the reason I'm open to it is the potential is crazy. And you would just sit him behind Tannehill. And look, it looks he's still on the roster. Tannehill's still on the roster. So you would just start Tannehill and then you let Richardson learn behind him. And you'd have Richardson and Willis. You'd have 2, quarterbacks errantly throwing the ball in practice, which would be very interesting. One much taller and bigger than the other. And, one that would actually now be your franchise quarterback. The other one that would be, tossed to the curb. So I think his upside is, it's interesting for pick 11. Would I do it? Still no. I just don't think he's going to last. I think he's going to be a 5, 6, 7-year quarterback. Even now, Lamar Jackson, who is, by the way, much smaller frame than Anthony Richardson. I'm not indicating that. But even now, Lamar Jackson, who has won an MVP, and it's time for his second contract. No one wants to give it to him. Or at least they don't want to give it to him for what he's asking for. And he won an MVP. Is Anthony Richardson going to win an MVP? I don't think so. I think if you get him to just be a miniature version of, I was going to even reference Cam Newton, but even Cam Newton won an MVP. If you can get him to be like a miniature version or a poor man Steve McNair or something, okay, you've gotten a lot out of him. And Steve McNair won an MVP. So, look, the potential's there. All the quarterbacks I just listed, by the way, I know they're all black, but come on. I'm making the comparison because the comparison's there to be made. With the McNair, with a Cam Newton, with Lamar, all of them were doubted with their throwing ability coming out. But they were able to come into the league, use their legs, pop off, win an MVP. None of them lasted. Even McNair. First of all, he sat for 2 years, and then he really was active from 97 or 8 through, for us, 2005. So it was a decade basically, but still wasn't that long. And then for the Ravens, he was decent, and then he had to retire. He was done. He was done after that. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, there's a lot of upside there, and they can take the league by storm, but it's not going to be for more than a decade. Even Cam Newton didn't last a decade. I don't know if Lamar is going to last a decade. It's just something that you consistently see, and I think that's what you see with Richardson, because although he did not run that much at Florida, that's true, in order for you to really get the potential out of him at the next level, I think you have to run him, because he's just not strong enough as a passer to warrant you taking him otherwise. If you're really taking him, you're going to mold him into a pocket quarterback, forget about it. He'll never be proficient enough as just a pocket quarterback. But if you want to mold him and turn him to your version of Cam, your version of Steve McNair, your version of Lamar, that's where the upside is. And I see that upside. And I think he'd be fun. And I think, some years he might be better than Young or Stroud or have a better season. Just as Lamar has had a better season than Josh Allen, he's had a better season than, every other quarterback from that class sucked, but, or at least ended up sucking. Shout out Baker Mayfield. But ultimately, it's just too much to ask for me. So even at 11, I wouldn't do it. If we end up doing it, I won't hate it. I won't love it. I think I'd hate Levis, or I really wouldn't like Levis. So if we took Richardson, I'd give it a B. If we take Levis, it's gonna be a C plus. Like, I get the effort, you don't have a franchise quarterback and you're trying to get one in Will Levis. I just don't trust or like Will Levis. I'd rather bet on the gamble of Anthony Richardson than Will Levis, who's a gambler in and of himself and has some similarities to Josh Allen, but not enough for me. I mean, not enough for me, but that's just me. So we're in an interesting spot there at 11. I think one of them is going to fall. I don't think the Raiders, and I know they're one of the teams that were also mentioned as a potential team to move up to number number 3 overall and the potential to get a quarterback as well. I think I'm not buying it. I think they gave Garoppolo, they didn't give him like crazy money, but I think they gave him starter money. I mean, it's a 3-year deal. They gave him a 3-year deal. Let me see how much of it was guaranteed. I think at least of like 40 million guaranteed to pay him that and then to draft a rookie quarterback. And look, I guess you could, again, take, Anthony Richardson and then just sit him. But okay, only 33 of the 72 million they gave him was guaranteed, so it's not awful. And if they cut him after the season, it's an $18 million dead cap, which I don't know why you made that decision, but okay, to each their own. But to me, that's indicating that they really see Garoppolo as their starter, this season. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but that's what I would assume. So for right now, this rumor to me, I think again we're exploring options. Exploring options doesn't mean, everyone's presuming it's going to be Stroud and Young at 1 and 2. Things could end up being a curveball. Recent rumor just came out that the Texans are considering just passing on the quarterbacks overall. Okay, yeah, please do that. Yeah, do that. That's one of the most, I can't believe they'd be so stupid to do that. Apparently they think they'd still get a quarterback at 12, and yeah, I guess you would, but I don't know who you'd be getting the 4th quarterback, because most likely, if you really want to do that, then go ahead, Texans, do that. Let's do that, because I'd love nothing less than for the Texans to continue to stink. I would love for nothing less than that. So if they want to do that, if that's a decision that they want to make, I'm with it. I love it. So go ahead and please take your Will Anderson or your Jalen Carter or your Tyree Wilson instead of taking Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, and continue to be a poverty franchise. I'd love nothing less. Please, I beg you. So we're going to see on this. Again, I wouldn't do it, even though you guys know I've been desperate for a quarterback all season. Before the season, I told you, this is going to be Tannehill's last ride. I wanted us to draft Malik Willis last year in the draft. It didn't work out. But we can't keep this Tannehill game going. It's over. Okay, it's done. He is never going to win a Super Bowl for us. We tried. GG. Good game. Right? You try. Sometimes you try in life and you fail. Hey, that's life. You go through it. But if you really think that Richardson is moving up to number 3 for him is the answer, then now you're being a little desperate. Because while I think a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud can get away with having limited talent around them, at least for a year, as we rebuild, and you don't even have to play them, by the way. You can still run Tannehill if you draft one of them, and then let Tannehill take the hits, and then you can sit Stroud or Young. Now, it would be weird because, you pick them that high, and they're talented enough to start, and maybe even better than Tannehill. I don't know. You'd have to see that in camp. But that's fine. If you feel like that's what you have to do to protect him, then make that decision. But moving up for Anthony Richardson, that would be too much of a risk, in my opinion. I'm not willing to make that risk at this point. Even though I'm very desperate for a quarterback, I think I would rather just say, okay, GG, let's just take Paris Johnson, or let's take Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then next year we'll get our guy, hopefully, and then we'll see what that situation's like. And, we'd roll through this year, and I still can't believe Ryan Tannehill's on this roster, guys. What are we doing? Again, so, free agency is over. So, Odell's going to get signed. He's not coming here. And then, I mean, maybe we get like a Donovan Smith or something. I don't know what we're going to do. But with this medium free agency, we're hoping for a great draft, and maybe we get a great draft. Why are we anticipating this season with Tannehill on the roster? If we don't get a quarterback, I just don't understand. Other than for him to potentially mentor the next guy, I don't know why Ryan Tannehill's on this roster. I really need help. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I know Mike Vrabel still wants to win games. Maybe he can't survive a 5-win season. Well, I don't care, because I'd much rather do that than go 7-10 again next year, which I think is most likely as of this moment. By the way, as of this moment, we have like the third worst Super Bowl odds. Everyone thinks we're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I can't necessarily disagree. I disagree to a certain extent, but I'm feeling right now 6 or 7 wins as we just retool this roster. But why does Tannehill need to be here for that? If you don't take one of these quarterbacks, why does Ryan Tannehill have to be here for that? Why? I just don't understand it. So if someone could explain that to me, I'd love to hear it, because I still don't get it. So anyway, with that said, I'll go to the comments for a couple questions, and then we will get out of here. Remember, Super Chats always get read. If not, at me at SportsFan Entertainment if you'd like your comment read. I will be coming out with a Titans mock very soon, within the next couple days, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty. Jim Gordon. Hopefully not the detective, Jim Gordon, but he says, question, if we don't move up, does it make sense to trade back and get another second-round pick? Does it make sense? Depends how much you like Paris Johnson versus like another tackle that you would take. Like, you know, if you trade back, and let's say Paris Johnson and Jackson Smith-Njigba there, but you don't think they're obviously the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, and you can get still a talented player at that position, I'm down to trade back for sure. I really would like to take Paris Johnson if he's there. I really would. Although it's going to be frustrating to me, because I'm going to be like, why did we sign Andre Dillard? Because, I mean, he'll play guard and it'll be fine, but I'll just be like, why did we get Andre Dillard? And then Jackson Smith-Njigba, I'm down. Like, I know people keep debating whether or not he's a slot wide receiver. Well, guess what? So is Larry Fitzgerald. And if you don't remember, go back and watch the tape. So was Wes Welker. If you don't remember, go back and watch the tape. Okay, I don't care if he plays in the slot a decent amount. That's good. That's literally good. It helps our quarterback even more. He can easily be 1,000-yard wide receiver in the NFL in the slot. Justin Jefferson played a lot in college in the slot, because they had Jamar Chase and other talent outside. That's how it goes. If you guys are afraid of slot wide receivers, I know we haven't had any in Tennessee in our history. I know, so that's scary. We don't know what it looks like. A good slot wide receiver? What the hell's that? I'm so used to Adam Humphries and Kyle Phillips, who doesn't even play. Those are the slot wide, and Kendall Wright. Those are all the slot wide receivers I've ever seen. But trust me, you don't need to be afraid. So I'd be down for that. SCP says, I still want Hooker in the second round. Again, I'm down. I think you're going to have to move up for him. I think he will go before 41. I really do believe that. But we will see. Ralph Fax says, at Sports for Entertainment, LOL, are there any Titans fans that are actually optimistic about Malik Willis? At this point, yeah, not really. And there shouldn't be, because he stunk. And he was really bad, and it was very interesting to me. I still don't really understand it, other than just week to week drama, because a lot of Titans fans and NFL fans in general just like to be dramatic week to week. It's very frustrating. But I mean, people jumped off the Willis train to the Joshua Dobbs train. Now Joshua, I mean, is he signed somewhere? I think he signed to Cleveland or something. And, now they're back to Willis. It's just a bunch of hopscotch nonsense. It's crazy. It's just, people are desperate. It's so sad. It's very sad. But yeah, there's not many that are legitimately, excited about Willis. But if he comes in and he's just like, wow, this guy improved his accuracy. He learned the playbook. This guy can play. I'm down. By the way, he still looks small, and I don't even care, because I'm defending Bryce Young. I want Bryce Young. But even then, he looks small out there and he doesn't know what he's doing. He threw like, however many passes in those games, no yards whatsoever. It was bad. It was really bad. I mean, we've gone through Jake Walker, Vince Young, of like actually talented guys. Let me not mention like a Rusty Smith, who obviously should not be in this conversation. Despite everything, and I've seen Vince Young be bad. I've seen Jake Walker be bad. Oh, this was bad. This was really, really bad. And even Jake Walker, like, while really, he wasn't bad to me until, because even rookie year Jake Walker, he would run around like an idiot. He'd do things well. He played well in that Saints game. If you remember that game, he played well. And then 2012, he would have struggles. He would have quarters, halves where he couldn't make a pass. But he never would throw for 80 yards or something. It was never that bad. I mean, sometimes it was 140 against the Jets. It would be pathetic, but it wouldn't be that bad. Whereas Willis was really bad. So if we could, saw the blocker experiment, I don't want to see this one. All right. This will probably be the last one. Bobon Kluk or Cluck, maybe Cluck says, what if we take Jackson Smith and Jigba at 11? Yes, no, maybe. I'm into it. Again, I think he's the best wide receiver in this class. I think people are overthinking, in terms of his injuries and in terms of his, just injury. Really, it was just the one hamstring injury that he was dealing with. And in terms of his speed and athleticism and him playing in the slot, he's the best wide receiver in this class. You could easily be 1,000+ yard wide receiver even next year. With Burks, I don't know. I'd have to see our quarterback situation. I don't know who we'd be throwing the ball to, but I can see them both really doing well, and I'd be into it. So I'm into it. I'd like it. I'm fine with him or Paris Johnson. I think everyone is now on board. Or Skoronski. Skoronski's a little early if you think he's only a guard, but I think we're all down. I think we all know who we'd like. The quarterbacks, that's really the situation where we're going to have debate and where there's going to be intrigue. And I'm interested to see how this is going to go because, look, there's always going to be and I'm always going to be here, to make content. And, the off season we go through the off season and, people will be optimistic just for optimism's sake. I hope that they're a little more creative than saying, well, here's what we're going to do to fix this team, or at least to begin to fix this team. We're going to get Andre Dillard and Azeez Al-Shaair. Shear is great. And Sean Murphy Bunting, very good signing. And Daniel, I want to say his name wrong, Daniel Brunskill. And then that's basically it. Oh, and, your boy Arden Key. And then we'll just stay at 11 and pick at 11. And then we'll just stay at 41 and pick at 41. And we might trade back in the third or something. But that'll be it. And then that'll be our draft picks. And everyone's just going to be fine with that. Really? That was the plan? Maybe that's how things will just shake out because the opportunity never really provided itself. But it's really? What a boring offseason. And sometimes boring off seasons are good, but guys, we need to do something a little creative here. I mean, we can't just run this back. It's ridiculous. But hey, maybe that's what they're going to do right now. It looks like that's what we're doing. So, it's a little frustrating, but maybe they have something up their sleeve. Maybe they've been planning on something. And on draft day, I think that's when we'll finally actually find out. I don't think we're going to find anything out definitively until then. But until then, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. What are your thoughts on the possibility of the Titans trading up to number 3 for Anthony Richardson or any other quarterback? Comment down below. Let me know. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.